Hello, welcome again back Miami Web Fest. My name is Paul Olele, and I'm with a special guest. His name is Olawale Adetula. He is the founder of TNC Africa. TNC Africa, I understand, was started in 2021. I think the rollout might have started in 2020, but officially launched in 2021. And I do believe that they've also produced three or four, four shows. Our Best Friend's Wedding, AZ Ashwebi, and the screening which you sent me, The Little Black Book. And just by the way, I do know one of your movies, the Our Best Friend's Wedding, because I think that came out in 2017, I think.
So we did the first season of that in 2017. Yeah.
Okay. So because I was familiar with it. So I just pretty much just let's start off with the earliest journey, or your earliest journey into filmmaking. How was that like? What was the process like?
It was very tricky because I came from a corporate background. I had pretty much zero knowledge about filmmaking. I just had I had a clear vision, right, of telling original African stories and taking those stories out of Africa to the rest of the world. Because so many people outside of Africa know very little about what's going on the continent. I mean, not even a lot of people know that it's a continent and not a country. So, so there's so many questions and so many opportunities to educate people. So I wanted to do that. So what I did was, practically just threw myself at it. I had a few friends in sort of like Nollywood that were doing productions here and there. So I sounded them off. And they told me, you know what, you just have to throw yourself, stick yourself at in any location that where filming is going on, introduce yourself to guys on sets and make friends. So I started doing that over for about a couple of years, just trying to, anywhere there was any filming going on, I would go there. And that was kind of like how I gradually started picking up things. And then I'll go online, of course, took some courses online, learn about filmmaking, producing, all the elements and all of that. So that was out. And then when I felt it was good enough was when we did a test, which was 2017, Our Best Friend's Wedding, did a web series just to kind of test things out to see if, everything added up. Yeah, that was it.
And Our Best Friend's Wedding, was that with initially it was with Red TV?
Yeah. So that was a co-production, right? So like I said, for me, it was more like an experiment. I didn't want to take the risk, alone. I was like, okay, let me partner up with someone else who's also looking to, explore in this space. So I partnered with Red TV, which is another production company. They also own a YouTube channel. And we did it as a co-production for the first season of Our Best Friend's Wedding. And that was really for me just to perfect the learning curve, right? And so that was it.
Okay. And for those who don't know, Red TV is digital streaming platform based in Nigeria. It's operated by a bank, the United Bank of Africa, UBA. So moving forward, your co-founders as well. I also found out that you have two other co-founders as well. Actually, one. My visit to Nigeria 5 years ago, I met one of them. She worked at a radio station, and you have another co-founder as well. I believe his name is
Daniel. Yeah. IDM. Yeah, Daniel, IDM.
Yeah. So what was that? You formed that partnership. Why did you feel the need to? And her name is Gbemi as well.
Yeah.
So what was the need to form like sort of a partnership with these two people? What did they have in common to make the vision for TNC Africa come to life?
Yeah, so after I kind of like got the idea and I knew exactly what I wanted to do, I knew I couldn't do it alone, right? Because, we the vision is very, very grand, right? We have, years and years of sort of work planned out. So I knew I needed to get like-minded people in. And Daniel and I go way back, way before TNC was a publishing platform. He's a writer, he's a really great writer, published writer as well, very creative mind as well. But outside of that, in his sort of corporate life, he's got a lot of project management and sort of like sales experience, right? And if we're building a business, right, sales is something that's really critical that he brings to the table. So there's Daniel, and we'd also been looking for someone with production background, right? Someone who especially had experience working with really senior or big name talent and stuff like that. And that's where Mimi comes in. She's got over 15 years experience working in the industry, as a producer on radio, producing some of the biggest sort of like radio shows, also in video, because a lot of radio stations started crossing over into video production as well. So she led all those across some of the biggest radio stations in this part of the world. So it was kind of like a natural fit as well. So the three of us coming together is really balancing out that experience. Me bringing in, years and years of experience in marketing and, also being within the tech space and having entrepreneurial experience, and then combining that with Mimi and Daniel, it just felt like a perfect team for us. And that's how it has been going since then.
That's interesting. So let's shift gears a little bit to the little black book, the screening you sent to me in the email. I watched the first episode. It's following a story of a woman who's trying to look for a job, and she had this interview, and then I think she also has a brother, and I think a friend. I think her friend is also in a relationship with her brother, and it's a very interesting dynamic, and there was so many angles that I could relate to, especially with the part about gaming, the gaming industry, and how like that's like booming. I've heard that topic come up in several discussions with people that I've had, especially out there in Nigeria. So pretty much, how did that whole concept for that show come about?
So, as part of our strategy, one of the things that we look out for is people who stories that have sort of like franchise potential, right? So really stories that already have followership, right? Very strong community behind it. So whilst doing some research, came up. I've always known about Sally Kenneth Dadzie. She's another fantastic writer. And I think I met her way back in the early 2000s, right? And she had created this whole universe of a bunch of stories that are interconnected together into this universe. And she had some really compelling characters. And some of those characters, their stories are just fantastic, right? So it was kind of like a no-brainer for us to reach out to Sally to say, you know what, let us look at one of these stories that you've created and see how we can bring that to life on screen. And she was super excited about it. Little Black Book is one of those stories. So it's a part of a written sort of like series, and a few of them have been published into books already. So we just took that and then we adapted it. You said so in the first season, it starts off almost like a story of a young girl who's gone for this interview, but we kind of like just flip the script because the story is indeed about the person who interviews her, who ends up being a boss as well as a love interest, who's Lionel. And that's the story we're telling over a couple of seasons. We just launched the second season, and the story is pretty very layered and very interesting. Yeah.
And that's interesting too. And another thing too, for some of the audience that don't know, the character who plays Lionel is actually a famous Nigerian artist from back in the day. I think he used to work with Storm Records. His name is Ike Chukwu. He's done some songs with D'banj and Don Jazzy, some of the famous Nigerian artists as well. So for the international audience, if you do check out the project, he is an artist and has a track record of music, and he also featured too on the movie
The Wedding Party. Yeah.
Wedding Party. Yes, that was that received so many, was critically acclaimed. So
Yeah.
he was also on there too as well. So let's talk about Miami Web Fest, because this is what we're pretty much here for. With the way Nollywood has risen over the past couple of years, and there's definitely need for, or there's definitely a strong desire from a lot of these core production houses, especially from over here in the States, who are going out there to Nigeria and also other African countries too as well. How is this? So I want to ask two questions. How is the rise of Nollywood, playing a part into this sort of new renaissance? And then the other thing too is, how do you also feel about your film being featured at an international festival like Miami Web Fest that gives exposure to up and coming filmmakers like yourself?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic, the fact that Nollywood is starting to gain traction, especially internationally. I mean, a lot of people always kind of like feel, a lot of people in the industry feel a certain type of way because we all feel like Nollywood has been there a lot longer than music, and with Afro beats and music really getting recognition before Nollywood internationally. A lot of people felt, oh, well, you know what? But it is what it is. But the fact that now we're starting to get that kind of recognition, it's still far away, but I think it's getting there slowly. I think it's just credit that is well deserved, because the industry has been there. People have toiled and people have worked really hard to get the industry to where it is now. So it's about time. And I think it really also helps a lot with, opening up the continent to a lot more people, because, music is great, right? You listen to that, but, visual arts is even better because you get to see the way of life. You see how people are expressing themselves. You see the culture and learn all sorts of things. So that's fantastic. And secondly, in terms of, getting screened in an international festival, again, that is a massive plus for us, right? As a business, we think of ourselves as a global business, right? And not just an African business, because again, our core sort of like mission is to get original African stories to the rest of the world. And, a way of doing that is to be in as many festivals as possible, make sure we're getting screened to a lot of people who have, maybe even a slice or a little bit of interest in Nollywood or African content. So we're super excited to be a part of Miami Web Fest this year, and, looking forward to make a lot of connections from there moving forward.
That's interesting. And then I think we might just end on your advice to up and coming filmmakers like yourself. They see you, especially the ones out there in Nigeria, they see you, they want to thrive as you. What advice would you give them? Because the landscape is different from the United States landscape or the the UK landscape, like where you're based in, what is an advice that you would give to an upcoming filmmaker coming out from that region?
Well, the advice I would give is, you know what, be very, very sort of like particular about what it is that you want to achieve in the industry, because it's a very, very it's a very tricky industry, right? Because it's growing, and it's growing rapidly, and things are changing very quickly, right? And also it's very tough because, you know, it's where there's a lot of independence, you know, independent funding, independent everything going on within the industry. So you need to be very, very focused. And so it starts off with picking a corner that you want to sit in and saying, look, you know what, I want to do film. What kinds of films do you want to do, right? Who's your target audience? Where are you going to play? Are you going to focus on cinema? Are you going to focus on, you know, digital channels, you know, distribution channels, whatever it is, right? So pick a battle and know that, look, this is what I want to do, and then just go hard at it. However it is that you can start small, you can start slow, but you know, make sure that you're adding minutes, you're adding, you know, hours behind your dream, your vision every single day. And eventually something will open up, because, you know, that's pretty much what happened for us, right? You know, we just set a mark and said, look, this is what we want to do. And we started getting at it. And now we have, you know, an AMVCA nominated show that has been featured in several international festivals, and we're slowly but surely getting there. Yeah.
That's interesting. And also AMVCA as well, because I also have to break this down for my international audience. It's Africa
Yeah.
Music Viewers Choice Awards. It's
Choice Award. Yeah.
a big ceremony that takes place every year, I think. And
yeah, it's pretty much the Oscars of Africa.
yeah, and it awards, you know, filmmakers from all across the continent. So it's a big deal. So is there any upcoming shows from TNC Africa, or is it just the same lineup that we should expect from you in the next you know, couple of months, years, you know?
No, we've definitely got some new shows. We've got a couple new shows, one premiering before the end of the year and another one Q1 next year. The first one is well, it's untitled as it is, but it's done in indigenous Nigerian language, and it's a really fantastic show, first of its kind. And then we've got another one in the first quarter of next year as well, which is also a show that tells a story about kind of like the younger generation, so more like a Gen Z focused type of show, if out of Nigeria as well. So yeah, some really interesting bits coming up.
That's interesting. We look forward to watching that as well, and we wish you success in your future projects. We'd like to thank you once again for taking some time out to speak with us about your movie for Miami Web Fest. Hopefully one day we'll see you somewhere in Miami.
Absolutely.
You know, with the Latin American music playing. So we'll see you having fun living the exotic life and whatnot. But we also look forward to screening your movie at the festival this year, so that should be fun. So yeah, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul Olele. His name is Olawale Adetula. He has the show Little Black Book available now on YouTube, TNC Africa. Go subscribe, check it out. Interesting show, and it's one that we look forward to viewing at Miami Web Fest. My name again is Paul Olele. You have a good day.